Cesc, it's a pleasure to see you again in this new context as a coach. How would you define your coaching philosophy?
Well, I think I'm still in the process. I started only a year ago coaching, and of course I prepared myself for a few years. And I think a philosophy is something that, in my opinion, you are always searching to improve. But it's quite clear, First of all, I don't see so much I see more the methodology around the club, around what I want to do, than the philosophy in general, because I believe that we are here in a project, that of course I'm the coach, but at the same time, we are trying to grow in many different areas. So I see it more as a global of what we're trying to do as a whole. And but in terms of philosophy, I think it's clear that we are a team, and I'm a coach that I try to be always very flexible, very open-minded. We always have, obviously, the experiences of when we were players. Yeah. So I think this helps a little bit in certain moments, to try to identify what player needs, in certain moments. But the style of play is clear. Of course, sometimes it takes a bit longer than others, but it's just about trying to identify, what kind of players you have around and how much you can achieve what you want to achieve. And if not, like we did last year, you will need then to adapt a little bit many things, in order to be successful, which is at the end of the day the key thing.
You come from a school that has the goal of ball possession, attacking football, which is kind of contra-cultural in Italy. So where's the balance? How do you use different philosophies to understand what do you need when it comes to play a game?
Well, as I said, the style of play is clear. I know exactly in my head what would be the perfect game for 90 minutes. No, I mean, obviously winning the final result, but pressing high, trying to identify the weaknesses of the other team, exploit them. We always have a game plan. When we prepare a game, every opposition is completely different, so you always have to get little details. But pressing high, being compact, have the ball, try to find combinations and pockets. Be vertical when we can, recover the ball in advanced areas and do little counterattacks. So I think this is a little bit, counter press. These are the principles that for me are super important. And in general, what I like is that every time we plan something, and then on Saturday it works out well, for me this is the biggest satisfaction that a coach can have.
What do you like the most about this new Cesc Fàbregas?
This, as I said, preparing games and analyzing opponents, analyzing our own team, where can we get better. I'm very hard on myself, and I always try to think what we can improve, not so much what we are doing good. Like, for example, now, the other day against Napoli, a lot of people were congratulating us because we played a good game, etc. But in my head, I was thinking about what we didn't do right to not win the game, So for me, this is the type of mentality that I always had when I was a player, and I try to always bring it here. Doesn't change.
Yeah, you didn't change that. I remember that you were always thinking, what did I do wrong? Not what did I achieve during the game. You have amazing managers. Probably you have kept in your mind pieces of what you've learned in the process. What would you say Arsene Wenger has given you in terms of his experience and his methodology?
I think Arsene was a gentleman, and obviously what I learned from him the most is the patience that you must have with the players. I know that nowadays patience doesn't exist because coaches are fragile, and we are too scared, that you lose 2 games and you're out. So you always try to compensate that by putting the most experienced players or the best players, or maybe not who deserves it the most, or maybe go for the younger players. And I'm liking it a lot, working with the young players, and this requires patience as well, because there is ups and downs with a young player. You need to be a little bit more precise. You need to put a little bit more effort in the training sessions, more time globally. And but this is something that I learned, that when you want to develop something, you need patience, and you need to fix it in your head the right way, going into the detail and doing it properly, basically. Nowadays I see that in football, a lot of coaches, and rightly so, we cut corners.
Yeah.
We always try to do this, or this is quicker this way, because we don't have time to do what we want. I remember talking to Arsene, to do a proper project, it says it takes 2, 3, 4 years. Now we want that we change the methodology, the philosophy, the style of play in 6 games. So, and if not, you're out. So that's why sometimes, that's why I said that the coaches are a little bit fragile, because we need to always try to get or cut corners to achieve quickly what we want to do.
From Pep?
Pep, I think tactically is the one that I learned the most. He always studied the opponent, informed me that the right manner. He always knew exactly what they could do, and he could give you the solutions. And this is what I try to bring to the table, for the players, especially nowadays. I think before there was a little bit more freedom, with the players. Now everything is a little bit more, they need you. Now the players, I feel they need you constantly, before the game, prepare it, to always remind before the game. When I mean before the game, I mean the days before, then a little reminder also the day of the game, just before we go out.
Right before.
Before, and also during the game, depending if they're 5-4-1 or then they change to a 4-3-3, they always need, help to identify what's happening onto the pitch. And I think Pep, helped me a lot in this way to understand different things. Jose, what I like the most about him is how he handles the dressing room. How he plays with the head, of the players, how he knows how to identify who is in the right mental predisposition to achieve the team, whatever they need in that moment. He understands when a player in that moment is weak, so he gives him a little bit more time. So he's very fast, at understanding the player, what they need at each moment, and who can give them what he needs, in order to win games. He's not scared to make changes. I remember sometimes he would make 3 changes at halftime, because he knows that exactly in his head how he wants to achieve, different things on the second half. And in this case, I think Jose was very, very brave, and he always used to tell me, go with your idea. Once you identify a problem, fix it immediately. Don't let it pass.
Cesc, you were one of the first that started this phenomenon of very young players becoming important in big clubs with Arsenal. Right now we have Lamine Yamal. He's very young, he's breaking records. He's playing in a very important role in Barcelona. Mm-hmm. From your perspective and your experience, how do you see him?
No, I think he's a unique talent. I think he's someone that you just need to let him go out and play football. He will always make a difference when he's pressed, when he's not pressed. He always finds the right solution, even if it's an individual action or a 1-2 or the last ball, or give continuity to the play. Whatever the game demands in that moment, he's capable of reading it, and he's capable of understanding what it needs, And I think this is already a sign of a big player, of a very mature player. And what I like the most is that it feels like he's playing in the street. It feels like everything becomes so easy for him. He's free in the mind. The other day he said it himself. They changed him, and he's already thinking that he didn't play the best game. And I see something different in him that maybe since, I don't want to say the name, but big players managed, when they were very little at his age.
He has better numbers than Messi at his age. And there are so many people that are comparing this wildness, this lack of rules, the natural way of playing with Leo, and he's so young, he's achieving so much. Do you see that comparison fair?
I can understand it. I don't like it because I think every player is different, and we all have our own story. And now Lamine needs to do, his own road, and create his own pathway. But definitely there are signs, that always make you go back to what Leo used to be. I think it's completely normal, especially also the Barcelona fans. Coming from a difficult period of years, where there's been some difficulties. So I think the excitement that Lamine brings to the table nowadays, it's very important for. It's like Leo, in difficult moments after Ronaldinho left, Deco left, etc. He stood up, he stepped up for the team when Pep arrived, and he became a different player. And I think with Lamine, the potential is there to do very, very well for many years at Barcelona.
There's like a new generation of players. There are coming very talented ones, like Lamine, like Guardiola, like Gavi, like Fermin, and many others that are playing games right now and they're doing really well. Would you say that the phenomenon is repeating from your generation? That Barcelona had an idea, a DNA that made the difference at that time?
Maybe. I think the DNA is always there. I think the La Masia, the academy, works always very well because they have very well prepared coaches around the academy. Since my day, since when I was 9 years old, I'm talking about 30 years ago, I could feel that the coaches were special, and sometimes they are even better than some of the coaches at the first team, but they are very well needed, for the development of the young players and the way Barcelona has, its own way of playing, and I think this is super important. But I always say it. I mean, when you play for a very big club or when you manage a big club, you always need to win, and we go back to what we were talking about before with the young players. It's not a coincidence that now so many players are coming through and playing for the first team. It's just because the club had problems economically. They had to go a little bit more looking for the academy, and the academy is ready, but it's always ready. I believe that if you did that 5 years ago, 10 years ago, it would have been the same. But the problem is that sometimes, as a big club, you need to go for the biggest stars in Europe, the biggest stars in the world, and this sometimes creates that the younger players have more difficulties, to get into the first team because you're signing a young Neymar or you're signing, I don't know, a Dani Alves or a Vidal, etc., and this cuts a little bit the progression of the players. But now, when it's been needed, they are there to deliver. And I think the academy, I'm convinced that if every year, we believe in this type of project, 2 or 3 players from the academy can step in.
Do you see the same amount of talent that Barcelona have now and that Barcelona had back then?
In general, or in the young players?
Right now, do you see the talent that you, Leo, Iniesta, Xavi?
Yeah, from the academy, yeah. Well, they are still very young, let's not forget. But obviously, you were talking about Pedri's, Gavi's, Cubarsi's, Lamine Yamal's. Already these 4 players, Fermin is doing well. Yeah. You have 4 or 5 players that could potentially play for most of the teams, big teams in Europe, and this says already a lot of the quality that they bring to the table, these players. And again, like you said, there are even more, like Balde, etc., that are growing, they're stepping in, and potentially they could become top players as well. So I don't like to compare. I never like to compare anything because every generation have their moments, their stories. But I'm just happy that it's happening.
Cesc, I always wanted to ask you. We did that documentary back then when you went to Barcelona. And Busi said the other day that maybe at that time the team felt they were so good that they were not doing all the things that they should do to be competing at the top level and win more trophies. What's your take on that?
From which year you're talking about, more or less?
No, like the whole generation, right?
Well, it's difficult to say. I do think that because the team was so good and the players individually were so good that maybe sometimes we took certain things for granted, but at the same time the level of quality was super high in every training session. I remember players getting angry because they didn't train well, or because they lost a little possession, or because they lost a little game. Players being angry because they wanted to be part of every single moment. And I think the character and the emotion to play, for that team was always there. I think the capacity to work hard. Of course, Pep started it, where he made everyone work hard because he saw the talent, he saw the quality. Now it's all about working hard, because if all this top talent and top quality works hard, they will be unbeatable. And he saw that, and fair play to him that he started everything. If during the years, like also Pep saying, that you have the stomach a little bit full, and it unconsciously drops your level a little bit, of focus, or the hunger that you should have to always compete at the top level, maybe it could happen. But in general, my experience with these players, with this team, was that everyone was super, super hungry to achieve the maximum. Can we, or could we have achieved more? For sure, 100%. But football as well. There's also Real Madrid. There's also Atletico Madrid. There's also Chelsea's, Man United's in Europe. So that the more you win, the more they want to beat you. So we have to take that into consideration as well.
How do you see your mates back then? How they're doing in MLS and achieving trophies and playing together in this last part of their career, like Jordi, Busi, Leo at Miami?
No, it's fantastic for me. I would like to watch them more, but they play very late, and I have to sleep. Otherwise, I get tired myself. But in general, I'm super happy because they deserve it for the career they've had, for what they can bring into a project, all their experience. You can see Leo, you can see Luis, you can see Jordi, Busi, they still play and deliver great performances, because they are hungry, because they love football, and because they know that they are in a league that is very physical, and if you are not fit, it's very difficult to compete in that league, and I'm just happy for them, because I remember 2 years ago, before I came to Como as well, we went on holiday, basically all together, and Jordi was about to finish there, Luis didn't know what to do, I didn't know what to do, Busi was planning, with Leo if he's going to go to Miami, Leo already had it planned, so, there was a lot of doubts, and to see that they are making it all together and being happy and successful, for me is a pleasure to see.
You always took an original path back then as a player and right now as a coach. I mean, you choose to come to Como in a second division. You become a coach. You didn't wait, but you were eager to show your skills and to work in Italy. Why? I mean, what was your drive coming to that stage of your life?
Well, I always like to have plans. I like to plan ahead. I didn't want to, I was looking more for a project, long term, than not just to go somewhere and play 1 or 2 years, finish, then I don't know what to do, I need to restart and look again. So when this opportunity came along, I analyzed it well. I knew I could play my last days as a football player. I had already seen and understood that my passion was to coach. I had already been preparing 4 or 5 years, with very, very close people, analysts, coaches, and I knew this is what I wanted to do. At the end of my career, my last year, when I was in Como, I was spending training, and then after training, I used to go home and just analyze games. And I spent at night with people that could help me and trying to understand all the departments, how would this work here, the physical department, the recruitment, everything. So I wanted to know a little bit of everything, and I just felt hungry. I felt that it was the right moment for me to start my new life, because I was not enjoying as a player the same way that I was enjoying the last 20 years. And I always said to myself, I said to my wife, that whenever I wake up one day and I don't feel the same drive, the same passion to go on and be the best on the pitch, I would finish, because there's no sense. And I was starting to see that this was happening. I never thought it would happen, but it arrived that day, and I just felt it. I mean, I'm not scared of challenges, you know, it's the opposite. When I take something, I take it very, very seriously, and with a lot of love, and I feel that this is mine. I say this is my family, this is my everything. So, you know, I try to always do my best and compete to the very best of my abilities.
You're starting a new career. What is the ultimate goal? What will be your Christmas letter as a coach?
To keep growing. I mean, when I do something, it's because I want to be the best that I can be, you know. And I achieved that as a player. I try to be the best dad that I can be, the best husband. And now, when I'm a coach and I'm in this beautiful project, I try to give my life, you know, to what I'm doing. So step by step, you know, it's only 1 year that I'm a coach. I think here at the first team is nearly getting into 11 months only. So, you know, it's very early days, but I'm very happy. I'm very secure with myself. I have a clear idea of what I want to do, how I want to do it. And I think from there, it's just about learning, speaking to a lot of people, when you have time, traveling, make phone calls, and understand, you know, where you can get better as a person and as a coach.
Cesc, do you think Mikel Arteta could end Arsenal's wait to win the Premier League title?
Definitely he could. I mean, they've been already close the last 2 years, especially last year, getting into the last game of the season. I really like Mikel. I think he's a great coach, a very good guy. He knows exactly what he's doing. Again, he's got very, very clear ideas of how he wants to play, how he wants to step this, how he wants to progress in this, etc., etc. So I respect him a lot. It's not easy what he's done. He found the right environment. They gave him the right time, you know, to achieve what he wanted to do. And fair play to Arsenal, because I always use them as an example, you know, that if he was in any other club, I think they finished 3 times 8th.
Yeah.
You know, at a club like Arsenal, normally it's seen as a not good enough, but they saw a clear picture of what he can bring to the table. They saw him working every day. They saw what or how he was, you know, improving day to day, not only himself, but the players and the team. And I use them always, as I said, as an example, because this is the way, you know, projects and processes are made of, you know, with a clear plan, clear strategy, but also with time to provide the right things.
Is this the year?
I hope so. I really want them to win it. I see the team, you know, very, very much matured now. Obviously now also with the injuries of Rodri, you know, De Bruyne at City, maybe they can step down a little bit the big level or the high level that they had during these years. But overall, I think now they are at the right moment, you know, to go for it again and try.
What team do you think is the best in the world right now?
I don't know. The best team in the world right now, I wouldn't know how to tell you. I mean, obviously Barcelona are playing really well. Bayern Munich are doing very interesting things. Bayer Leverkusen with Xabi Alonso, they are growing and growing and growing. Mikel with Arsenal as well. Inter Milan is a team that I really like. They are so well balanced. They've been together now for years. All the players, they are like machines. Manchester City, obviously. So it's difficult to say one, but I think there are 6, 7, 8 teams that are all at the right level.
There's not one that stands out from the rest.
At the moment, first of all, I think it's too early, and secondly, I see a lot, these 7-8 teams, you know, at a very, very high level.
Best player? Now I need one name.
Best player, if I have to say one, probably I say Lamine Yamal for what
He's the best now.
For what we spoke about and the impact that he's having, and as I said to you, the freedom. I love, nowadays we live in this world of football that the coach says A, B, C, D, and the player needs to do A, B, C, D. And this is fair, okay? And with many players, you have to do that because they don't have the capacity, you know, to understand it by themselves and be like Lamine. But when you have this type of talent, this type of quality, for me to see the freedom and how he expresses himself on the pitch, it's fantastic to see because the creativity, you know, they get out of the plan. You know what I mean? The plan is this, but they are so good that they can get out of the plan and make you win a game. And
they break it.
They break the plan in the right way, right way. And I think at the moment, with the confidence he's got, he's scoring a lot of goals as well. I would give it to him.
Last topic, the calendar. Everybody's talking about the amount of games that we have through the season, the players' health, not only physical but mental. What's your take on that? They're talking about going on strike. What's your take?
I don't know. Again, it's very difficult for me to say. If I go back to my career, because I can only talk about what I lived, what I experienced since I'm 16 years old, I don't remember having a week off anyway 20 years ago, because you have you had the Carling Cup, you have the FA Cup, you have the Champions League, you have the Premier League, which is the same, and then you had the national team, which is the same. Of course, now they did the how do you say that?
The World Cup, the
World Cup clubs, that is a little bit longer.
The Champions League format is different.
Yeah, but yeah, it's a little bit different. Maybe a couple of more games, but I remember having seasons of 65 games myself. So what I'm trying to say is that already before there were a lot of games, you know, and before I remember you used to play on Saturday, and Saturday night you were already going with the national team until the Thursday. So you were 11 days. Now they make it a little bit shorter. You meet on Monday, Tuesday, and then on Monday you play the last game. So it's 7 days. Before we used to be 11 days with the national team. It was, you know, I don't know, it's different. I understand that there are a lot of games, of course, and but now maybe we're talking about 6, 8 games more than what it was before. As I said again, I don't remember me having weeks off even when I was 18, 19, 20. So I understand what they're saying. It's tough. The seasons become very, very long, especially for the young players that, for example, Lamine, like Pedri, Gavi, these young players that physically they are not still, you know, strong enough, or they haven't really made, you know, the physically the change, but as a man. But again, this is not for me to decide. This is something that, of course, the players are the ones that they feel it the most. I do understand that there are a lot of games. The other day I saw Man City playing Arsenal, then they played 48 hours later, then they play Saturday, and I'm thinking to myself, okay, we played Saturday and then we play Sunday, and I've seen 3 games of Manchester City between these 8 days, you know, so 100% that there are a lot of games. But I think it's about, you know, someone at the end of the day, the big clubs and the big companies, they need to sit down and program something, but in the right way, because as I agree, the healthier the players are and the more rested they are physically, the better quality there will be on the pitch. Because if they are tired, if they are not in the right mind, if they just played 3 days ago for the whole season, the quality will drop 100%. This is mathematics. So yeah, in terms of protecting, I think they should sit down and talk well.
Ancelotti said that he believes players will agree to play less games and get less money.
I don't know. I cannot speak for players. To be honest, me, the more, I don't know, everyone will think differently. Me, the more games I played, the happier I was. But this is me talking about as a player myself, individually. I played, I think, nearly 900 games. I wish I played 1,000. But this is different. But maybe playing 1,000 would have meant that I didn't play 20 years. I played 15. It's a debate that everyone will have their own opinions, but for me, as I said, as a player, and I remember, because I was a player 2 years ago, 1 year ago, that the most games I played, the happier I was.
How did you see Leo's exit from Barcelona? Lately, there have been like exits from big names, legends of the club. Not only Leo, Xavi, Koeman. What's your take on that?
Well, it's not so much about the exit. We all come and go at some point. Even the greatest coach, the greatest player, the greatest president in the world. I think sometimes we talk more about the manner, of how it happens. I mean, I don't know what happened with Xavi. I don't know what happened with Koeman. With Leo, I lived it a little bit more because obviously he's my friend, and I remember the day before he was in my house. And we were talking, and everything is done, and I'm going to sign tomorrow, and he was super happy. So for whatever happened, after, of course, it's painful because you can see that the greatest player, in the history of the club wants to continue and is excited, to achieve more things with the club. And then one day for another, they tell him that it's not possible. So 100%, it was painful for him and his family the most, but for the rest of Barcelona fans, imagine, it was a very, very sad day. Different circumstances, that the club identified that were the right things to do. Here I cannot say anything because I'm not inside the club to have an opinion. I can only talk about what Leo still could have bring, and it's showing, winning a World Cup and doing really well for PSG and now for Miami and Argentina. So it was not about his level footballistically, because Leo will be 45 years old and he will still be deciding games. So yeah, it was painful from a fan point of view, from a friend's point of view, for him and his family. But you see, he's found his way. He won the World Cup. He's winning things in America. He won things in France. And at the end of the day, this is Leo, a competitor, an animal. This is, for me, the greatest player and one of the greatest sportsmen that ever lived.
But would you would think that he will be like the one-man club kind of story, right? It hurt a lot for you, for Leo, for the fans, for all the people that love football. An exit that happened in such a way.
Yeah, of course. At one point, I think we would all have said that Leo will be in Barcelona forever. This was his home. As I said, he not only for what Leo has been at Barcelona and what he's won and his level, is because he was playing really well still, and he could offer still very, very good performances, because at the end of the day, that's what the Barcelona fans want as well, and they will always tell you, and I think Leo will himself tell you, that it's not about just because I'm Leo Messi, I want to stay there and play because I have to play. No, it's because he was feeling really strong, still to keep playing and delivering good performances. And I think, when you feel like this and you are told that you need to leave, it's a little bit more painful, because if you are weak and you don't feel that strong, but they tell you to go, inside of your mind you can say, okay, I'm sad to go, but maybe I could not have performed at the level that I was before. But in general, I don't think that was the case. He was still Leo, the decisive player that we all know.
He was with you the day before. Do you remember the call after he got the news? What he told you, how he was back then?
No, my wife told me. My wife told me that he spoke to Anton. Actually, my wife went to his house. Me, I had to leave somewhere else, and I was not in the country in that moment that happened. But yeah, I mean, it was a sad moment, a shocking moment for the family, because imagine, for us, it's a shock because it is what it is. But imagine for them that you already have a plan, with your kids, with your wife, with your whole family, and you already told them that you are staying, that tomorrow you are signing. So this is a little bit the thing that I think hurt the most as well for them.